Good morning. God bless all of those that have the ears to hear. May the Spirit of God, may He increase your understanding. May He open up your eyes to see. And may He give you a heart that perceives in Jesus' name. This is Sister Liberty, and I'm back here once again with another teaching for you. So I wanted to continue discussing today of overcoming the flesh, being violent, being aggressive with the sin that is on the inside of us. So each and every one of us, whether you are out of the will of God, whether you are in the will of God, we are facing battles. We are facing life. We know that we are in a world that is cursed. We know that we are faced with sin in this life, and we get to decide what we want to do, if we're going to allow the things in this world to overcome us, to subdue us, or if we are going to overcome it. Because if you don't overcome you, if you don't overcome the sin that's on the inside of you, then it will be over you. It will rule over you. That's why the Word of God tells us to rule your soul. If you don't rule your soul, then it will have rule over you. If you don't rule your emotions, if you don't govern it, and I know I need to slow down. It's early, and I'm on a little bit later than usual. But if you do not overcome the inside, then you cannot overcome the outside. So we're discussing today of overcoming you, subduing your flesh, plucking out your right eye, cutting off your right arm, cutting off your left foot, whatever it is that is in the way. Because if we can be honest, it really all starts with self. Because I can point the finger, I can blame people, but if I don't get right with God, if I don't come into alignment, if I don't overcome me, then I will become a prisoner to sin and a prisoner to the devil. And that's not the will of God, that we live a life where we are controlled by the devil. That's why Jesus comes to give us power. That's why Jesus comes to break our curses and to break our chains so that we can actually be a free people. But you can't free people unless you're free. So you can't save others if you are not trying to be saved yourself. That's the whole matter of becoming a Christian. A Christian isn't what you just say, but it is who you are. It's what you are. It's who you are. So it matters how you fight your daily battles. It matters how you live your life on a day-to-day basis, because what you do today is going to affect your tomorrow. What you allow today, that's going to affect the path of your footing. So if I'm someone, I'm always playing victim, I'm lazy, I always feel as though it doesn't take all of that, or that I shouldn't put much effort in, then when those waves come, when that rain come, when those winds come, then I'm not going to be as one that's stable. I'm not going to be as one that can actually endure the winds and endure the rain and endure the waves. I'm going to be one that's easily tossed to and fro. I'm going to be one that's like the troubled sea. Like Jesus says, someone who's unstable. And unstable people who are tossed to and fro, they cannot govern others. If you can't even rule your own soul, how are you going to rule over others? So this matter of denying self, it takes it takes all of that and more to deny this flesh. Because if we can be honest, there are things on the inside of us that it wants to keep us. So that part of your soul, it wants to keep you making those same decisions. That part of you, it doesn't want to put forth effort. It doesn't want to make the necessary changes. It feels obligated. It feels like it's owed to. It feels entitled. It feels as though that person should make the first move. That person should apologize first. That person should bring it up first. And that's the part of you. So this is why we need Jesus. This is why, because outside of him, you don't have the strength and the power to overcome you or the things on the inside and the outside of you. You will be someone that continues living life, burning bridges. You will be someone living life, continuing and trying to fake it till you make it, trying to maneuver your way around the condition of your life, of your heart. There's a condition that when we don't address it, when we don't tackle it, we don't confront the condition on the inside, because there's war going on the inside. There's things, so many different things happening on the inside of us, especially if you are someone, or if you have been someone who you've been hurt before, you've been let down, you've been broken, you've been rejected, you've been neglected, people have betrayed you, people have hurt you really, really bad. If we are those individuals and we are not addressing the condition, we're not addressing the issues in the heart, the Word of God says that out of the heart flows the issues of life. There are issues going on the inside. And so if I have a bleeding heart and I'm choosing to ignore that, I'm choosing to go around that, then when I do engage people, I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to mistreat them like the things of my past if I'm not dealing with the condition in my heart. It is true that hurt people. So it's not about others being the issue or others being the problem, but it really is looking at self, because it starts with you. One of the things that I'm constantly reminded of is that when I do stand before God, such and such, he, she, they, them, they won't be there with me. I won't be able, God is so wise in how he does things. He make it to where you have to come clean about yourself. He makes it to where you would have to speak for you, and that you can't bring anybody else. You only have to speak for you. And so he does that so that we understand that it really does start with every individual. It doesn't matter what your past was like. Maybe you have been hurt. Maybe you have been traumatized. Maybe you have been abandoned and neglected and rejected. Maybe you are someone who you just had a rough upbringing. You still have to decide, what are you going to do? Are you going to carry those things to the grave, or are you going to be one who you can turn to the rock and allow him to heal you, allow him to change you, allow him to renew your mind, allow him to heal those deep wounds of your heart, those soul wounds, that part of you that makes you a particular way. Sometimes we don't realize that what's on the inside shows on the outside, but it just shows up in different forms. Sometimes you may encounter people who they may not like a particular race. Or they may not do things out of fear because of trauma from their past. And that's one of the many ways that what is going on the inside can show on the outside. So we know how that looks in the natural. When there's issues going on the inside of our bodies, when there's problems, when there's sickness or illness or an infection, it will start to show on the outside. Maybe you will get a breakout, a rash breakout. Maybe you will get a lump. Maybe, you may cough. You may have a running nose. You may have a headache. There are things that the body will tell you to indicate that there are things going on the inside. There's something off. There's something wrong. There are things. And so in the spiritual, there are things to indicate what is the root cause of why we are the way that we are. Maybe you deal with isolation. Maybe you don't like people. Maybe you don't like dealing with people. That's a result of trauma from your past. Maybe you are easily offended, or maybe you are someone you're always defensive about everything. You are one who nobody's going to cross you. Nobody's going to ever hurt you again. Those signs, those ways, those mindsets are a result of what is actually underneath. And that's the part of us that God is actually trying to get to. God wants us to be a free people because he knows that sin messes us up. Sin will cause us to run from God. Sin, it causes you to hide behind a condition. Sin, it will cause you to hide. It will cause you to be one who does try to fake it until they make it. And so with that, we have to understand that transparency, it causes us to be visible. It causes us to be seen. It causes us to be free. But sin, it reforms you. Sin reforms you. It reshapes you. It re-identifies you. It does open the door to other things, other problems in life. People wonder why their life seems like they're already in hell. People wonder why things are so hard. Why are their children messed up? Why is life the way that it is? They can't seem to keep a steady relationship. They can't seem to keep a woman or to keep a man. They can't seem to keep a job. Life is hard. Life is messed up. We live in a cursed world. We live in a fallen world. And with that, we get to decide whether or not we want to follow. Although we know that it's God that chooses us, we get to decide whether or not we want to answer the call. And we know that answering, not declining, not rejecting, answering the call is going to position us to get the breakthrough that we need. We're talking about overcoming. I can't overcome if I don't face the thing. There are things in your past that you just rather not touch. But sometimes you need to dig up those bones. Sometimes you need to tackle the condition. You need to tackle the hurt. You need to tackle the pain. You need to tackle the memory so that you can actually heal from it. I'm telling you, your world is teaching you how to live past it. Although it's there, it's just like an elephant being in the room. It's too painful to address the elephant. It's too uncomfortable to address the elephant. Let's just pretend as though the problem is not here. And one of the things that I'm learning is you can't hide the problem. You can't run from the problem. Eventually the problem will find you. If it has such a stronghold over your life, trust and believe. It doesn't matter if you try to move and relocate. It doesn't matter if you try to get into new relationships. If the problem is you, then you won't be able to run from it. If I am the problem, if the things on the inside of me is the issue that I am trying to avoid, that I am trying to run from, then problems are only going to follow me, and it will get worse. It will get worse. People are living hard lives. The devil is beating people up. He's destroying people's lives. The word of God says that he is as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. He's aggressive. He's subtle. He's cunning. He's skillful. So he's watching people. He's watching those that are struggling. And what he does is he capitalizes on your weaknesses. He makes you feel as though your condition is so bad that even God himself can't help you. He makes it seem like your condition is so big that you can't be saved. You can't be forgiven. You can't be free. You will always be this person. You will always have these conditions and have these ways about you. So he will cause you to stay in bondage. He will keep you in prison, and you have to know that your freedom is worth fighting for. Your freedom it's yours. Your healing, your freedom, your strength, your joy, your peace that God gives to man. You have to fight for that. You have to fight to get it, and you have to fight to maintain it. That's this whole taking up your cross daily. Your cross, that is your ministry. Your cross, that is the bearing of the burdens of others as you are overcoming you, as you are taking the beam out of your eye. Then you will be able to see clearly to actually help others. You can't tell people how to overcome if you're not overcoming. You know, that's true in the credit world and in the banking world. You know, the credit unions and stuff like that. If you don't have a good credit history, they're not going to hire you. You can't be someone with a bad credit trying to tell other people how to have a good credit. You can't. That's a real thing. If you are not someone that is a good steward, a good manager over your finances, then you trying to get a job at a credit union or with the credit bureau, it's going to be very, very hard, because they're not going to hire people that does not have a record of knowing what it's like to manage. Because how can you tell people how to manage if you can't even manage? You can't even manage your own funds and your own resources, yet you're going to tell someone else you're going to make people bad people. You're going to make people bad stewards. You're going to make people mismanagers of their finances and of their things. And so how much more when it comes to the spiritual things that are eternal, meaning people's souls are eternal. Whether you're going to spend eternity in hell, or in the lake of fire, or you will be spending eternity with God, with Jesus, with God in the new earth. So we're going to be spending eternity somewhere. But where? Because at the end of the day, if you did not overcome your soul, if you did not strive to enter in, if you did not fight through, then you will be hearing the words, "Depart from me. I never knew you. I never knew you." So we have to understand how vital that is to overcome our flesh every day, how important that is. You're not just overcoming for you, you're overcoming for others. If I cannot manage my soul, I cannot manage others' soul. I cannot be trying to tell people how to have good credit if I'm a bad manager of my own credit. They're not going to hire me. They're not going to hire you. No, you can't work here because you have a history of bad credit. You don't manage your credit very well. We can't give you this position to tell others how to manage their funds. You're going to make people bad stewards. That's the same way it is when it comes to the spiritual things. I have to be a good ruler over my own soul, meaning I need self-control. When people see me, do I have control over my emotions? Do I always have to look? Am I someone who can't help but go places and engage in carnal conversations? It matters. It matters who I am openly, and it matters who I am privately. If I am subduing my soul, if I am denying myself, that's going to show. That's going to show. No, I already do this. I already tackle this flesh of mine, the sin that's on the inside. Oh no, I tackle that daily. I defeat that daily. This person, they live as a winner because they don't make room for the flesh. They don't make provision for the flesh. They don't make excuses as to why they let certain things linger. They don't make excuses as to why they did that over there. No, this is someone who gets violent. This is someone who gets aggressive with the sin on the inside, because that's ultimately what we are subduing, is the sin on the inside. The sin on the inside, it makes you not want to pursue God. The sin on the inside, it tells you that you don't have to put forth that amount of effort. It doesn't take all of that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to love her. You don't have to keep loving her. You know, that was one of the things that we talked about yesterday. Why did it come into Peter's mind to ask Jesus, how often should I forgive? Because in Peter's mind, there should be a limit. There should be a point in time where you're just done. I'm done with you. I'm done with them. I'm done forgiving. But Jesus said 7 times 70. Because it's in us to want to put limits and conditions on people. But God tells us, you got to get beyond you. He says you have to love your neighbor as yourself. So although that person may have offended you, that person may have hurt you, and they may have done it more than one time, you have to decide. You have to decide. You know, I've heard it said before that you let people keep you in bondage. That person is going on with their lives, yet you're the one, you're here struggling with it, struggling with the emotions, struggling with the memory, the trauma, the experience. And that person is living their life. They don't care about you. They're not worried about you. And when you hold on to those offenses, when you hold on to that anger, that bitterness, that unforgiveness, then you are keeping yourself in bondage. That person, they may never come back and come clean. They may never come back and apologize. They may never come back and confess what they've done. And you have to decide that at the end of the day, if this person never comes back, if they never apologize, will you be free? Will you be made whole? Will you allow God to transform you? Because either you can hold on to the offense and wait around for people to come and bow at your feet. Whether they do that or not, you have to decide that your freedom and your healing can't be based on whether or not they come or not come. You have to decide. You have to choose. You have to choose. So I can choose to be free, or I can choose to remain in bondage. When we play victim, when we try to victimize everything, that is us choosing to hold on to the bondage, to stay in the bondage, to hold on to the memories, to hold on to the trauma. But when we can actually let that thing go, when we can actually confess, when we can actually subdue and suppress, then we can actually have the healing that Jesus Christ makes available to us. He makes that available so that we don't have to serve him in anger. We don't have to serve him in bitterness. We don't have to serve him with pride, but that we can serve him with a humble spirit, a humble heart. He says that the poor in spirit, he says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You have to be poor in spirit. Yeah, you have to be poor. You have to be poor. You have to be meek. You have to be humble. That takes a readjusting of the heart. That takes someone who is willing to get low. That takes someone who's vulnerable, who's willing to just let it all go, and who can acknowledge that, no, I am messed up. I am broken. I am torn. I do have issues. There is sin on the inside of me that I need to be gone. There are some curses. There are some chains that I need to be broken and to be uprooted. But that's going to take effort. That's going to take a willing heart and a willing mind. That's going to take transparency, because again, sin will cause you to hide behind a condition. But if I want to be changed, then that means I got to be transparent. Who do I need to be transparent with? Yourself first, and then God. Because I can lie to me all day, but I can't fool God. I can't fool God. God knows our hearts. And so if I'm going to be honest with anyone, it needs to be self. It starts with me. I can continue faking it until I make it. And I'm not hurting anyone but me. You don't hurt anyone but you. When you lie to people, when you tell people that you're okay but you're not, you don't hurt anyone but you. So if you can be honest with yourself and you can admit, no, I have issues. No, I have weaknesses. No, I have flaws. No, I have conditions. No, I have been hurt. I have been scarred. I need healing. I need transformation. I need power to let this go, because some people, it really is just hard for them to let certain things go because of how deeply rooted the offense went. Yeah, you don't get to determine how deep it goes when you hurt that person. This person, they can't let it go as easily as you. Maybe for you it's easy, but for this person, it really is a struggle. It's a daily battle. So this person has soul wounds that needs open heart surgery, that needs surgery. They can't just take a Band-Aid and some Neosporin. They need open heart surgery. And that's the kind of person that has to understand their need for healing and for freedom. They have to choose. Either I'm going to allow this thing to be over me, or I'm going to choose to overcome it, because it's overcomable. All of the conditions, the issues of life, those things are overcomable, meaning you can get over this. You know you can defeat this. You know you can win this battle. You don't have to live as a defeated person every day. Every day you're someone where you say the enemy kicks you in the butt. You now can be given power to kick him in the butt. You now can be given power to place him under your feet. You just have to put forth effort. You just have to come boldly before the throne of grace and to pour out your heart to God, knowing that God isn't trying to break you. He's not trying to make your life hard, but he's trying to shape you and mold you. He's trying to refine you and give you power over your soul so that you can have power over the enemy. He can't give you power over other people if you are not a good manager of your own soul. If you can't even tell your soul, no, you couldn't even deny ice cream. You couldn't even deny engaging in that conversation. You couldn't even deny not going on social media. If you can't subdue, if you can't control, if you can't suppress, if you can't put up under subjection this flesh, then it will rule over you and it will get you into trouble. Don't let you know, the word of God says, let no man take your crown. That includes you. That includes you. Don't let you take you to hell. Don't let you cause for you to forfeit your crown and to lose your inheritance. It's yours. So that's why the individual has to strive. You have to strive. Yes, others can encourage you, but you got to believe God for yourself. You have to press in for yourself. You have to do it for you. Yes, it's nice to get prayer. Yes, it's nice to hear the preached word, but I have to believe it for myself. Meaning, after all that I've heard, I have to apply. Now I have to put into practice. Okay, now I have to put into work what I've been given, because I have to work out my own soul salvation. I have to live this out as if I am running alone, although you're not alone, but you have to see it as that. Man, if nobody else is here, at the end of the day, I have to finish. I have to overcome her. When I see her in the mirror, when you see him in the mirror, you have to decide that you will not rule over me. We will not be what we were yesterday. We will not be what we were last year, in the past. But you are becoming. You are new. Jesus Christ is making you. He's made you new and he's making you new. And you have to decide every day when you look in that mirror that you will not control me today. You will not rule over me. I will walk in love. I will walk in meekness. I will walk in humility. I will walk in peace. You need peace with all men. I will not be a contentious person. I will not be an aggressive person. You have to decide. You have to decide when you look into the mirror. No, we will walk in humility today. No, we will seek first the kingdom today. You have to talk to this flesh. Otherwise, it will talk to you. It will talk to you. You have to speak to it and command it to line. You have to put it. You know what putting it into subjection is? You got to be aggressive. Yeah, we talked about yesterday of how sometimes there are those who, because they have a eye for things and it causes them to sin, sometimes they may have to give somebody their phone. Hey, take my phone and put a code on it. Because every time I get it, I find myself doing bad things. This person is trying to overcome. You may see it as, man, I would never. That's embarrassing. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman. I don't need no one to hold me accountable. I don't need anyone over me like that. But this person, they're trying to overcome some things because they're trying to stay free. You may not understand it. It may not take all of that to you. It may not seem that big of a deal. But Jesus says, if your right eye offends you, pluck it out. He says, if your hand is getting you in trouble, if your foot is getting you in trouble, he says you need to remove it, whatever that looks like to you. He's not talking about physically taking a knife and cutting it off. He's saying that if these kinds of things, if the relationships, if the social media, if the music, if the job, if the career, if the people are causing you to stumble, if it's causing you to sin, if it's keeping you back, if it's keeping you in bondage, if it's causing hardship in your life, if it's causing pain in your life, he says you need to get rid of it. You need to get rid of it. Hey, this thing is causing me to sin. This relationship is causing me to fall. I'm trying to live right. I'm trying to be a Christian. But every time me and you engage, we fall. Every time me and you talk, we gossip. Every time I go here, it doesn't go well. You have to decide what's worth cutting off. Is it worth your salvation? Is it worth you going into hell with 2 legs, 2 arms, and 2 eyes? Jesus says it is better that you enter in with 1 eye one arm, one leg. Yeah, you got one, but you made it in. Yeah, because this person lived aggressively with themselves. This person did not make excuses for themselves. They did not let things just slide. Oh, God knows my heart. No, this person, they cut some things off. This person made some sacrifices. This person is actually one who fought the good fight of faith. You can't be identified as someone who fought a good fight if you're not fighting anything. You're as one who beats the air. You're not doing anything with what's happening on the inside. There's a whole war going on the inside, but you're not doing anything about it. You have to fight. What are we fighting for? We're fighting to make it out alive, this life. Yeah, there are cares in this life. There are troubles in this life. There's sin that's running your world that you have to fight through, and you have power to do so. You have power to fight every day. Jesus Christ, he gives us his word. This word, this Bible is a sword. You got to cut some stuff up so that you can remain free. Hey, I know they may not understand and they may think that it doesn't take all of that, but I'm trying to make it out. So therefore, the man of God, the woman of God has to fight. You have to fight. You got to fight the war on the inside, and you have to fight the war on the outside, because there's opposition against your life. You're at a disadvantage. The devil, he wants to slow you down. He wants to get you out of the way. He wants you to throw in the towel. He wants you to get tired, make you feel like the Christian walk is too much. It's too hard. Why does it take so much? Why do I have to keep fighting? I fought yesterday. I fought last week. And you got to fight again today, because you're moving things. You're breaking things. And the devil, he knows. He knows, man, this person, they're setting some things on fire in the earth. This person, they're uprooting, they're plucking, they're evicting the principalities, or they're doing some things. They're doing some things. So if he can slow you down, if he can get you to focus on other things, then he has you right where he wants you. And you got to know who you are. You got to make him out of the liar that he is. How do you do that? By obeying. James says, if I submit myself therefore to God, resist the devil, he has to go. He no longer has rule over me. You got to decide that. You no longer belong to the devil. You are no longer his slave. You're no longer in a relationship with him. You left him when you found Jesus. That relationship should have been over. It should have been done. And so now you have to fight to maintain your relationship with God every day. Every day. And it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah, your life is worth it. Jesus thought so on the cross. When he died for you, he understood that no, her life is worth it. His life is worth it. Do you believe that your life is worth it? Do you believe you want to get one life? You only live once? You got to live your best life. You got to make the best of it. People like that, they don't make it very far. Because in their mind, they have to fight to survive. They're fighting to save their lives. Jesus says, if you try to save your life, you will lose your life. But if you lay it down for my name's sake, he says, his name's sake, he says that you will gain it. You will gain it back, so you don't lose. The ones that are laying down their lives, the ones that are fighting, the ones that are overcoming, the ones that are subduing, you don't lose anything, but you gain. And that's a beautiful thing to know. That's a beautiful truth, knowing that all of the efforts, all of the works, all of the sacrifices, they are not in vain at all. At all. So God bless you. May this message, may it draw you closer. May it stir up a righteous anger. May it impart the fear of God in your hearts. In Jesus' name.